A few years ago, I began really prioritizing travel in my life, and since then, I've traveled all over the world. I've shared a lot of those journeys with you, and one of the most common questions I get is, how do I plan my travel itineraries to get the most out of my trip? So today, I thought I would share my tips on how to create the perfect travel itinerary. Identify the goal of your trip and choose your destination accordingly. What is your goal for this trip? Is it to relax? Is it to explore? If your goal is to relax, New York City probably isn't the best destination for this trip. But if it's to explore, New York is a great place. Make a list of the top things that appeal to you about that destination. When I think about going to Bali, I think of staying in a cool villa, getting massages on the beach, maybe doing some hiking. When I think of going to New York City, I think of great restaurants and nightlife and seeing a Broadway show. Make a note of what attracted you to this destination in the first place, and then keep an eye out for those types of things when planning your itinerary. Do a quick search on TripAdvisor. Find out what the top rated things at your destination are. A lot of people like to hate on touristy things, but a lot of times touristy things are popular for a reason. Yes, going out to see the Statue of Liberty in New York is very popular, but it's also a really cool trip to make. Get insight from social media. I like to search hashtags and geotags on Instagram. I search TikTok now. I find when I search a geotag, the majority of photos are just really candid iPhone photos that actually show what the crowds are like, how blue the water really is. And something I always do to try and figure out just how busy a location is I will search the geotag on Instagram, and then I will look at the recent tab and I'll see how quickly posts are being added to that tab. If there have been 10 new posts geotagged there in the last few hours, I know it's really busy. If there's been 10 new posts geotagged there in the last couple of weeks, I know it's not that busy. I especially like doing this when I'm trying to plan anything outdoorsy. Like, this is how I always find out how crowded a hike is going to be. So searching geotags and hashtags is not only a good way to just find new things to check out, but it's a good way to anticipate how crowded a place is going to be when you go. Be realistic with your time. There is nothing worse than an overpacked itinerary, and I get it. When you're visiting a new place and you're super excited about it, it's so tempting to try and see it all because you don't want to miss anything. But a trip where you don't have time to just stop and smell the flowers is exhausting. And it also doesn't leave you any room for spontaneity, which is one of the best things about travel. If you're walking through Central Park in New York City and you see an artist doing caricatures and you want to stop and get one, you want to have time to be able to do that. You don't want to feel like, oh no, we've got to get to the next thing in 15 minutes. I found that a good pacing for me is to choose one activity for the morning and one activity for the afternoon. Unless I'm doing an all-day thing, like if you're going to Disneyland, then you're just doing one thing that day. It's Disneyland. It's always easier to move slower on a trip if you have downtime, but it's really difficult to move faster if you've overpacked your itinerary. Explore by area. So now, after you've made a list of everything you want to do, you want to group those things by area. If you're going to New York City, Times Square, Broadway, and Rockefeller Center are all within a few blocks of each other, so you're going to want to do all of those things on the same day. Research travel restrictions and requirements. This is relevant more than ever now. There are so many things you need to look into before you travel these days. And the tricky thing about it, as we all know, is everything's constantly changing, but the last thing you want is to get on a plane somewhere and realize you didn't have the test that you needed to get in or the document you needed to get in and have that ruin your trip, or to get there and realize that the tour you signed up for requires some sort of test or document that you don't have. So really be thorough with your research there, because that will ruin a whole itinerary. Speaking of travel, which does wonders for my happiness and mental health, I want to take a minute to say thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's video, because BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. If you're facing any challenges that interfere with your happiness or reaching your goals, I've definitely been there. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with a licensed professional therapist, and you can start communicating within 48 hours. It's available worldwide, and they have a network of over 15,000 counselors, which is amazing if you don't have something like that available to you locally. It's not a crisis crisis line. It's not self-help, it's professional counseling done securely online. You can log in anytime and send a message to your counselor and schedule weekly video or phone sessions so you don't have to do the whole waiting room thing like traditional therapy. And if you feel the need to change counselors, it's free and easy. It's also more affordable than traditional offline counseling, and financial aid is available. So visit betterhelp.com/Anderson, that's better HELP, to get 10% off your first month and join over 1 million people taking charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. Choose your accommodation wisely. I've made mistakes here many times. I think a lot of people have. First, you have to get the location right. Everybody wants to get a good deal on a hotel, and sometimes it's tempting to book something further out because it seems cheaper. But if you stay in an area that isn't easily accessible from all of the things you want to do, it's going to be a drag. And it might not be as big of a bargain as you think it's going to be, because if you stay further out, then maybe you're spending money on expensive taxis or train tickets, not to mention just spending your time transiting to and from the things you want to see, thus giving you less time to actually see things and enjoy your trip. So figure out how you plan on getting around. Is it walking? Find a hotel that's walkable to all the things you want to see. Is it a train? Find a hotel that's within a couple blocks of a subway station. Also, ask yourself how much time you're planning on spending at your hotel. If you're going to a tropical island for a relaxing vacation, you're probably going to spend a lot of time at your hotel, poolside, at the spa, at the restaurants. So you want to choose a hotel that's highly rated for that experience. Don't just book the first hotel you see, do some research on it because it really impacts your trip. Don't be afraid to hire a guide. It can be way more efficient and enjoyable to hire a guide for activities on your trip. They often handle transportation, they can pick you up from your hotel, they know the best places to go. I went to Oman a couple years ago. I have a video from that I will have up here. And I wanted to go out to this area. I heard it was amazing, but it was a couple of hours out of Muscat. So to get out there, I would have to rent a car and kind of navigate the whole thing by myself. And it felt really overwhelming. So I finally decided I'm just gonna hire a guide. And it made the trip 100 times better. She picked me up at my hotel, drove us out there, took me on a hike and out swimming in this secret waterfall cave, which was amazing and something I would not have discovered on my own. She advised me on what to wear. She even took me out to lunch afterward at this very hole-in-the-wall local spot that I never would have gone to myself. And it was the highlight of my time there. So don't underestimate how great a guide can be. Pay attention to flight layovers. If you have a connection and you are checking a bag, do not book a layover that's too tight. It significantly increases the chances of your bag not making the transfer in time, and starting a trip with no luggage is an awful way to start a trip. And I have been burned by this so many times. Like, I am known as the person who's going to lose their bag. I am the Gaylord Fokker of my family. A few years ago, my husband and I were flying from Edinburgh, Scotland to Milan, Italy, with a connection in Spain that ended up being like only 25 minutes because our first flight was a little delayed. So unsurprisingly, our bags did not arrive in Milan with us. But the problem was the next morning we were getting on a train and going up to Lake Como. So we weren't just staying in Milan where we could just wait for our bags to show up. So the airline said they could deliver the bags up to Lake Como, but it was gonna take an extra couple of days. So basically, my husband and I ended up buying new outfits and everything in the Milan train station. And it was just, well, one, it was expensive. I mean, we had to buy underwear, socks, like clothing. I bought like skincare stuff, like moisturizer. It was super expensive and it was a hassle. And in hindsight, I wish we had just booked a flight that had a more comfortable layover so we didn't find ourselves in that situation. So don't sabotage your trip by booking flights with short layovers. And then last but not least, remember that travel is unpredictable. You can spend hours and hours curating a perfect itinerary, and sometimes things still happen and everything's not gonna go to plan. I did a video last year talking about the Instagram versus reality or YouTube versus reality real stories of my travel. And in that video, I talked about my first solo trip ever, which was to Iceland, which was a cursed trip. Everything that could have gone wrong, I swear, went wrong. The biggest thing probably being that the most exciting activity I booked of the whole trip was a blue ice cave glacier adventure. And it was the whole reason that I flew to Reykjavik, rented a car, and drove along the south coast for days to get out to this location to do this blue ice cave activity. And when I finally got there and I checked into my hotel, I looked at my email and I had an email that said ice cave tour tomorrow canceled because it's too sunny. And yet, Iceland is still one of the coolest places I've ever been and one of my fondest memories because all the other things that I got up to and discovered there made the trip so special. So just remember, itineraries don't always work out the way you want them to. So those are some of my tips for creating a great travel itinerary, and I would love to know what your tips are down in a comment below because I know there's stuff I didn't talk about in this video. Thanks for watching. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you know when new videos are posted. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.